to the Zen Forum, where we inspire and empower you to achieve holistic success. In collaboration with Indonesia Economic Forum and the Zen Monk, we are redefining success beyond money, focusing on true well-being, purpose, and balance. Through powerful conversations, we are igniting growth and sparking change in both your personal and professional life, one episode at a time. Awesome, you guys. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Zen Forum. Today, I have a very special guest who I know quite personally for a while now. And he's a man who wears many hats. By day, he's an entrepreneur and a coach. By night, he DJs.
I do.
So I really want to know how he does it all. He truly embodies balance in personal and professional life. And so I can't wait for you guys to hear from him. Amrit Gurbani, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I really, really appreciate you coming here and just sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
Shall we get started?
Let's go.
Awesome. All right. Let's start with the first question that I've been dying to talk about, which is literal balance, right? You're managing your multiple businesses. You do coaching as well, which is very different from entrepreneurship. And then you even have time for your passion, which is DJ.
Yeah.
So tell us, how do you actually find that balance? Because a lot of people even struggle just having one business and family time. And so you have a bunch of that. So please share with us.
Cool. So I would say that it didn't all happen instantly. I guess that's the first thing. Everything happens step by step. The more that we focus less on our thinking, the less we think, the more we do. It becomes a rhythm, and then magically you just get more time throughout the day.
Wow.
So I wake up in the morning and I drop my kid to school, or sometimes my wife drops my kid to school, but immediately I go into the studio and I start making music early in the morning. So I start my day with my hobby.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of hours of that, meditation, exercise, and that's about the time when people start work. So that's when I start work. And then after work, I do the other things, coaching and all the other things.
Wow.
So there's not enough time for Netflix. There's not a lot of time for Netflix. I still get some. But yeah, if you just kind of do and get in the rhythm of doing, then there is time for things. And when there isn't time for things, that's when I pause and I say, time to prioritize. Which one am I going to choose?
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So when you're saying when you're not thinking about it, just doing, would you be able to expand that a little bit on someone who wants to understand the difference between how do I not think? What does it mean to not think and just do? And sometimes when you're doing, you have a lot of thoughts too, right? The fear, the this, the that, the doubt. So how do someone who probably, just in a simple terms, what does it mean to not think and just do?
For example, if people want to learn a new skill, let's just say I want to learn to make music, or I want to learn to cook, or I want to learn a new language. A lot of the times we go on social media, Instagram and TikTok, and we start looking at videos about that topic.
Yeah.
But we don't do anything.
Get inspired,
and stay there, exactly. So what I would suggest is take a course immediately. It can even be one of the free stuff on YouTube. You have a lot of those. And then have immediate action, immediate practice. So you learn and you practice.
Okay.
In fact, my teacher, my spiritual teacher, Peggy Phoenix to Grow, she taught me that mastery in one word is practice. And so I have designed a day where I'm practicing all the things I like.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so there is learning, but there's a very time-boxed learning, and then there's practice,
Okay. So when you say that there's time for you to practice, but what if there are people who are stuck in that zone where I don't have the time?
Yeah, okay.
It's just
yeah.
I know that a lot of people will say prioritize that you do have the time. It's just, you're probably putting it in other things and all of that stuff. So maybe not many people actually recognize that they have that choice with time. And so they're like, I don't have the time. I just absolutely will not be able to start something new, learn something new, do anything else. So how do you find, you said that it was gradually, right? So what was their thought process, or what did you have to go through in order to be able to actually manage these times, manage your energy, find the time to do all of this, and then create and actually design this life that you have now? What was the process like?
So just a little context. Before this, I was the kind of guy who would work like morning till over. I used to work morning till past midnight. And then I would sleep and then wake up late and then work immediately because I was already late for work the next day. So what I started doing was I started having 1 hour a day to myself. And that, the first thing I needed to do was I needed to sleep earlier. I needed to sleep earlier, and then I needed to wake up 1 hour earlier for myself. And that 1 hour just grew, and that 1 hour is now my whole day, because my whole day is now spent doing things that I believe in or things that I've always wanted to do. But that happened over years.
So it's crucial for you to actually have that 1 hour time for yourself, at least during the day.
I believe so.
What happens in that 1 hour?
Whatever you want. And maybe if you're like not a morning person, maybe that hour is at the end of your day. I don't know when people are at their best because everyone's different. I feel I'm at my best when I wake up and I'm still kind of dreaming. That's my favorite hour of the day. So that 1 hour has to be filled with learning and practice. And that 1 hour can then grow to 2 hours to 3 hours, because once you get a taste of practice and you like it, and it's something that you really care about, it has to be something that you care about, what will happen is you will want to sleep earlier and wake up earlier. Or you want to push back things just naturally.
Because you enjoy it, you want it.
It happens. It happens.
And so that 1 hour is crucial for you to spend time doing something that you truly enjoy. So it's not really about work or organizing your day.
Yeah. And in fact, because I have because I had that 1 hour of music, now it's more than an hour, but because I had that hour going to work, I was way more energized, way more enthusiastic, way more creative than most people.
Okay, it's like a primer.
It is. Because you get juice. It's like if it's like listening to music for an hour, and you're like having this private party.
Energy goes up, mood goes up.
And then I go to work.
Okay, focus. Yeah, okay, that's amazing. Amazing. So besides entrepreneurship, like we mentioned, you are also an emotions coach. And that is very interesting. First, like maybe not many people also understand what it takes. What does it mean to be an emotions coach? What do I go to you for? How do you get into this being an emotions coach? Why is it important for you to be a part of emotional well-being, let alone be a coach for it?
So it was, I think, in 2012 that I started learning about The Secret and manifestations and how thoughts become things and all that. And that's when I realized that the key was actually emotions. That true, everything comes from your beliefs, and your beliefs become your thoughts, and your thoughts can become things, but it is through emotions that is our magnet. And so I started studying emotions deeper, how people fluctuate, the different kinds of emotions, the tendencies of different kinds of people, especially for myself. And that helped me understand other people. So what happened was, in business, when I had meetings, I was able to connect with people because I understood where they were. You kind of understand people's motivations better. You're able to empathize. You're able to connect deeper. And then from there, I was like, okay, maybe I can share this. So I started running meditation classes and workshops, and that allowed me to meet more people and see that there are even many more variances out there. And then I just kind of fell into it. I really enjoy it.
Wow, that's amazing.
Also, when I learned meditation at the start, my meditation teacher taught me shared with me this interesting insight. He said, what are the moments in your life that you remember the most? From your childhood, what do you remember? And it's the emotional ones. So in a way, your emotions or your emotional moments are the most important moments in your life. Those are kind of like the milestones that you keep with you.
Yeah.
So imagine,
whether even if it's a bad trauma or even if it's good trauma, they both stick, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so imagine being able to understand those moments and how those moments actually shape who you are. And then you take it to the next level, you say, what moments do I want to create so that I can become that person I want to become?
Why should people care about their emotions now? Like, for example, if you're telling me about manifestation and all, and I'm familiar with that idea, but now if someone who's not familiar with the idea, let's just say that it's just way over their head, it's too woo-woo, where they're like, manifest, you gotta feel it, da-da-da. And so there's still more realistic, practical people. And I'm talking mainly also relation to men, but also in general. Why should they even care about their emotions in this first place?
Okay. So if you ask someone, what is the most important thing to you right now? Or if you could have one thing, what would you want? Most people would answer money, health, relationships.
Yeah.
Most people. Yeah. And if you drill down and you ask, but why? But why money? You know, why money? Oh, because money, da, da, da. Why? Da, da, da. Why? At the end of the day, all the answers will lead to, I want to be peaceful, I want to be happy, I want to be free. Freedom, in a way, is an emotion. So if you drill down, what we're looking for is to feel a certain way. We're not looking for things. We all want to feel a certain way. So if you understand how your feelings work, what if without those things, you could feel the way you wanted to feel first? And the thing with manifestations is, if you can feel the way you want to feel, it is almost guaranteed that you will get whatever it is that you're looking for.
That's awesome. It helps them at least break that, even if they don't believe in the idea of that manifestation, it at least helps them break the stress from today, because they're like chasing something that you're chasing that for a feeling. So you'd rather try and get that feeling now, and that stress kind of like at least lessens. And so you give your feeling that way. What if they say, okay, I want money because I want to feel secure? How am I supposed to feel secure when I don't have money?
Good question. So, what is making you insecure?
Okay.
And then we go there, and we go into insecurity, and then we drill down what's going on over there, what needs to change, and then there's a plan on how I can feel more secure. Yeah. And then you feel more secure, and because you're a more secure person, suddenly you're more attractive at work, and you get promoted. But that's the way people actually get the money. Because the money doesn't come to solve the insecurity. You solve the insecurity and the money comes.
Got it.
And in a way, if people say that that's woo-woo, which to some people is woo-woo, I feel like it's only because they haven't made the logical connection yet. Which is what emotions coaching is. Logically understanding why you are where you are. You are where you are because you feel the things that you feel. If we change your feelings, your environment will change.
It's basically, the idea is that you are where you are, and if you understand that you want to be somewhere because of that feeling, so if you want to like kind of pull back and understand that you are trying to base all of your feelings on everything that's outside of you, instead of understanding why you want that in the first place. So what you do is find out why you wanted that in the first place. So if you're feeling insecure, let's just say you're feeling insecure because you've been taught that as a man you are only considered successful if you have a certain amount in your bank. That's where you feel insecure from. But that's the beliefs we've been raised with to a certain degree.
Exactly, yeah.
So if how would they even understand or allow themselves to switch and be like, maybe it's my belief, maybe I need to think about it differently. Like, it's not the world, but because the world is telling us that, how do we shift that and be like, as much as the world is telling us that, you are telling yourself that too?
Yeah, I have a controversial answer for that. I believe that the key to change is having a strong desire. And I know like in spirituality, they say desire is, somewhat negative, but people that have strong desires, people that have strong goals, are the ones that transform, that are the ones that break through. And it could be a selfish goal. You know, it could be because I want to be the next Steve Jobs, or it could be because I really want to help and provide for my family, or it could be because I want to change the world. Whatever it is, that desire is the main motivation for someone to be able to sit down and say, what don't I like about my current situation? And that's when you start re-evaluating your beliefs. And it's like your beliefs become your thoughts, and then your thoughts become your emotions, and your emotions are kind of like your magnet. So it's like you kind of have to go like 3 levels up, and there must be a very strong motivation, because otherwise it'll be like, oh, too much effort, or oh, it's scary, I don't want to go there. And people will not say it's scary to go and look at my daddy issues. People will be like, I'm too lazy. And that lazy, when people feel lazy, laziness is actually fear. But because you're afraid, your body, changes, your body chemistry changes so that you feel this thing lazy, because lazy protects you from having to go there and facing all my past traumas.
What would you tell to someone who believes that change is outside of you? Because they're like, no, that's what's causing me to feel like this. The economy, the business sucks because it is what it is, the market. It's just all about the situation outside of you that's not making me feel good, making me successful, let's just say I have the desire, but I feel like everything is not letting me reach there. So it's like looking at outside, because the whole idea about manifestation and all of that is looking within. So how do we explain that in a way that they understand that this is, well, as much as it's woo-woo, it is also, what is that called? It sounds scientific. It starts with P.
What?
It's all scientific. Quantum physics. It's physics,
okay,
right?
It's physics, okay.
Right? I think it's physics.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
All of this whole thing, this manifestation, looking from within, that's how you change everything. Forget the market, forget this, forget that. How will they be like, but it's everything outside that's not making me feel successful, or it's not even making me feel successful, it's not making it happen for me.
Exactly why the strong desire is key, because it's like if someone's stuck and there's for sure there's fear blocking them from moving forward, right? And then just imagine like they're trying to break through and everything they desire is on the other side. If the desire is strong, they will do whatever it takes to break through, right? But if the desire is weak, their fear will come up in the form of these excuses that you mentioned.
Everything outside of them is making them not get through it.
But to a dreamer, for example, who has, dreamers have really strong desires, everyone will be like, oh no, but this. And they will be there thinking, but what if it's true? What if it's true? What do I have to do? Join a workshop, meditate 15 minutes a day? Okay, deal with my emotions, let's do it.
Let's try it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because the desire is strong. If the desire is strong, they will break their own fears, they will break their own logic.
Break their own logic. I like that. Break their own logic. Nice. Okay.
Logic. To me, manifestations is logic. To them, they have a different kind of logic, right? Yeah.
Yes. It makes sense in our mind, but sometimes it's so absolutely challenging to explain it to them that there is a logical, also scientific and physical, physics again, to all of it.
Yeah. And in many ways, you see more people failing than succeeding in life, because to succeed, you don't need just common sense. You need, in fact, uncommon sense, they call it. It's this sense. It's uncommon, which is why common sense doesn't work, because common sense is often based on fear.
Conditions, beliefs, and we're living in that.
Risk management, the brain is saying, oh, don't do this, it's dangerous, don't do this, you're going to go bankrupt. But yet, the brain, for relaxation, will doom scroll hours on social media and watch Netflix, and do other safe things. And that's a waste of time, because that's time we can risk.
That's awesome. Okay, I got that. I like that. So in many cultures, right, you talk about emotions and feelings, and there's just so many stigmas and taboos behind men and emotions. And it's just difficult for men to express themselves, to articulate themselves. In fact, sometimes they struggle to even just understand the idea of feeling. I have to feel something. So I wanted to understand your point of view on how do we encourage more men to be in touch with their emotions, to feel more? And what does it look like? Because, again, it's like you don't have to cry, or men don't cry, men are not, sensitive or emotional about things. So it's like a whole conditioning. To break that would take some effort. So how can someone, men, be more open? Towards it,
Interesting thing. I've been doing meditation classes for 13 years now. And there are always more women than men. In my coaching trainings, to learn to become a coach, more women than men. On our parenting channel, parenting means mom and dad, more women than men. And I guess what we can do is to make the information available as much as possible. And then we have these innovators now that are kind of breaking their logic. And if we have more examples, I guess that would make the next generation of men more comfortable.
Okay, that's nice.
I believe it's a generational thing.
That's nice. So what is emotional awareness for them? How can they start practicing it? Because sometimes at home, when the wife asks, "Are you okay?" and they're like, "I'm fine," or "I'll be fine," and unfortunately, it's like they've been trained to experience emotions that way and push it aside that way. So even if we try and encourage them, they're like, "No, this is weakness. I don't need this. I'm not gonna have to talk about it." So how can we encourage them to be a little bit more open, or how can men even be more open about sharing? How does it look like? How does it start?
I would say to get men to talk about their feelings, the best way would be to ask them, what they feel about certain things, and ask them, what's there, what's going on, and then get them to talk about blah 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 blah, and then say, would you say that you are ... It's like, no, not really. No, I'm not angry. I'm frustrated. Oh, nice. Frustration. Okay. So I feel like asking questions, probing, could help people actually express their emotions. What they do with it then is another story.
What do you think we should do with it then?
A lot of people tend to go, you should. Okay. And I believe that is what causes a lot of people not to want to share, because they just want to have their space. And so when I say I'm frustrated, what would help is maybe a question. It's like, what do you want to do about it? And maybe my answer is nothing. Done. Yeah, I'm not looking for a prescription.
Not a solution, not a prescription. Not a lecture. Just a safe space to be heard.
Exactly. So if we can help people articulate their feelings by asking them, what's happening here? What are you feeling about it? Ooh, interesting. That's it. Okay. That would actually be a starting point to get people to share more about their emotions. What comes after that is often the problem. I'm telling you, I told you, blah, blah, the judgment, and all the you should.
Okay, that's very important, because many of us come from a place where we don't even realize that we are projecting our own stuff.
True.
And not even giving space for the men to just feel without us having to without even the wives, the women actually being like, oh no, but you shouldn't feel that way, or because you did this, or just having a justification for them instead of letting them justify it.
Yep.
Okay, that's amazing.
And in a coaching relationship, when I'm doing a one-on-one coaching, I get this feedback a lot saying that, oh, I really like this, I can say anything I want to say, and then I get to decide And the coach is quiet. The coach provides the space. The coach reframes when needed, simplifies things. Are you saying blah, 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 blah? I hear you saying, does that sit well with you? Yeah.
Get into the clarity first, and then they get to decide what they want to do with that clarity. Is that what you do? Okay.
So, like, for example, I say, so I hear that you want to take action. Oh, no. I still want to think about what I want to do. Great. So I hear that you are going to think about, you're going to introspect about what you're going to do next. Can I hold you accountable? Like, do you need my help to hold you accountable for that? Do you want me to follow up with you, remind you? Yes, please, remind me next week. Okay. So next week, I ask the person, how did it go? Did you think about it? Yeah, I did. What do you want to do? Nothing. Done.
No judgment, no pushing, no nothing. But it's much easier for a coach because they do come from an unbiased place. We come from a space where we actually let the attention be.
Again, I believe coaching is not a profession. I feel like coaching is, it's a way to communicate. And I believe that everyone can communicate that way with no agenda, giving people a safe space, helping people by being a sounding board, holding them accountable if they ask for it. Why not?
Yeah. So to sum up what you're saying, even for wives or like friends or anyone per se, it's like you start off with just asking how you feel. Get into that zone of just letting the person get into a feeling and then just letting it be, asking them what they want to do, and then let go. Forget about your agenda, forget about what you feel about it, forget about anything about you. Let it just be them and give them the choice what they want to do about it. As long as they at least identify and acknowledge they're feeling something, that's a big step.
I feel so. It's like husband and wife relationship, or like a father or mother and child relationship, or most relationships, a friend relationship, would be, to me, very ideal if we could be equal and we could be horizontal and we could be open with one another and we could support one another in fulfilling our highest potentials. And that won't happen if we're imposing our agenda or our views on people.
That's awesome.
It's not all the time. Sometimes people need advice.
Yeah.
But
as long as the advice is not, it's like, I think even you as a person who's holding that space or being the one to talk about or want to give advice, you need to understand your own intentions behind that advice too, right?
Exactly.
Because if you're willing to give advice to someone and they're willing to listen because they know it's really good for them, or is it like something good for you, per se?
And also the way to give advice, I would say, best time to give advice is when you're asked an advice, then you give it. But like, say the person's now asking and you need to give an advice. I would say, hey, I'd like to offer you something. Would that be okay?
Invite them.
There's something in my mind that I would like to share with you. Would you be okay to hear me out? And then end with, how does that sound to you? No. Okay.
Yeah.
And being that person, believe it or not, of course, professional training helps, but being that person makes me, in fact, like a point of call for the people around me. Because they'll call me, they were like, I want to talk, do you have time?
Yeah.
Because they know that they're going to get a safe space.
Yes.
They know that I'm not going to be like, hey, you nanti begini, all that. Like, I'm not going to panic.
Yeah.
Because I understand it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It doesn't matter what this decision is, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Love that. Okay, that's awesome. So now it comes to even the idea that there are some men who are more calm and collected and are just, more emotionally stable. Even actually, there's a lot of women in general who are more emotionally stable.
Yeah.
But now, how do you know the difference between someone who is actually calm or someone who's just brushing off their emotions and are not processing it per se?
Does it matter?
It depends. If suppose you keep it in, right, the emotions, and you don't process it out.
So the reason why I ask, does it matter, is that, like, does it matter to us? It probably matters to them. So it's like, if the question is, how do I know whether I'm, suppressing or whatever, I guess it's easier to know.
To yourself.
Yeah, to yourself.
How can we know to ourselves then? How can our viewers right now, if they say that, I'm just calm, I'm just a person who's relaxed, no, it didn't bother me, it bothered me a little bit, or is it that they're really brushing it off, or are they genuinely able to like process it and go? How do they know that for themselves then?
I feel like the people that practice not feeling generally don't feel anything much, right? So it's not just the negative that they brush off, it's also the positive that they control, right? So like, meaning if we're happy with the way we handle emotions, great. But like, most people that want to learn about emotions because they're like, oh, I really want to feel more happy, really want to feel more peaceful, I really want to feel alive, I want to feel this, this aliveness, I want to feel connection. And if you're looking for that, then it's time to go and open the box and feel the negative, feel the neutral, feel the positive, because those are just labels, right?
Yeah.
In a way, like, we can say that fear is negative. It's not. Fear has a function. And then when you start understanding when having these emotions are healthy, how much of a dose is healthy, that's for ourselves. For other people, generally, when you talk to people, I guess you get a sense of whether, like, this person is, actively building a connection with you or not. Generally, when it involves other people, you can tell whether, they're actively seeking a connection with you, whether they're empathizing, or they're kind of like shut, right? But again, nothing we can do about it because we can't change other people.
Yeah.
We can empathize.
Yeah.
We can make the first move, we can influence, but we can't really control.
Yeah. Now let's go to the other side. Now we're talking about calm people, right? And there are those who unfortunately kind of use their emotions also as like an excuse per se. And it's difficult sometimes, for you to process certain emotions. And, I'm trying to be as, politically correct, because I understand when you're like taken over by emotions, you're totally taken over by it. But then there are people who stay there and who like probably in any sense stay in that victim zone.
Yeah.
So it's like, how can someone recognize whether they're truly processing an emotion and they need some time, or they're actually staying stuck in that zone where they're just always constantly emotional about certain things? And so, like, also how long, I know it's not about how long, right? But how can someone recognize that they're staying longer than they should in an emotion? Okay. So there are actually three questions there. So the first one I would say, the first one I would answer is how people can actually transform and break through and stop making those excuses. Again, to break through, the desire has to be big enough. Okay.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Which is why you have people born in the worst conditions, and they grow up to be Nelson Mandela or like Gandhi, or because the desire is so strong, the belief is unshakable, and they wake up and their parents tell them, you're crazy, we're not, powerful people, we're not rich people, we don't, focus, just do this. And they're like, no, I'm gonna make change. And again, those are just examples. So the stronger the desire, the easier to break through. And then now breaking through, the second part you said, like, how do I know whether like these emotions are like, kind of like, I should be done with this or I should stick around? I would say that when you focus on the goal and you start working on the goal, what you will find is there are certain actions you can't take. There are times when you get stuck. And that's generally when we go back.
Okay.
And we need to find the trauma. We need to find the conflict when you get stuck. But if you don't have a goal, again, you're stuck. Full stop.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And so when you're trying to run the car and you drive the car and the car stops halfway, you find out there's a problem with the battery or there's a problem with the tires, and that's when we fix things.
Okay.
And that's, counseling, therapy, decoding, regression, like so many things, so many modalities out there to kind of help people get unstuck.
Okay.
And then your third part, which is, what if this person just can't move and this person is like just stuck? Then I would say counseling would probably be an option.
Okay.
To get professional help, to talk about your life, to get maybe a new perspective on how things are. Because counselors can help you see things from a different perspective.
Yeah. By goal, do you mean by specific, just like a desire that you want to achieve, or in a sense that the goal can be even relationship, it could be even health? Because what I'm trying to say is people who, for example, want to work out, but they don't want to work out because they're like, no, because again, stay in that emotions of like something is not allowing that to happen.
Yeah.
Or relationship, let's just say there's a conflict, something happened, you're irritated with your parents, I think the best, easiest way is like child and parent, they're angry with their parent because of something happened before, you hurt me, so I'm like this is how my life is, this is who I am, so they stay stuck in that emotion, that victim, so they get stuck there. So when you say desire, can you explain for people what does that mean even? Because over here it's like maybe a relationship desire. What is it? Do they want to have a better relationship with their parents? That's why, but they're still stuck that way and they have to think about, is it me or is it them? That victim feeling. So
when it's you and, for example, your parents, it's slightly more complicated because it involves two people. Meaning that you may have a desire, your parents may have a different desire. So for example, say I would like my parents to be a certain way. My parents don't want to be a certain way. So then I have an option to accept my parents as they are, but I can still have an option to have a good relationship with my parents and understand that in me there's a desire to have maybe a mentor in my life. And then I can go and find another mentor.
Right.
And so I fulfill my need somewhere else. Taking a step back, you said whether it's money or whatever people do, whether they want to go to the gym, to simpler everyday goals. I would say that the fact that I'm here, for example, talking to you, and the fact you're here talking to me is because we agreed that this video would help people. And there's an intention, there's a goal for you, there's a desire to help people. The same goes for me. And that's why we're here. And so we have these basic intrinsic desires which help us wake up in the morning. I need to feed my kid. I need to earn money, or I need to look good, or, my wife won't be attracted to me, for example, So it's like, again, the bigger the desire, the easier the action.
So the desire can be something big, or it can be like those everyday goals that you were saying about. Those are the things that keep you motivated, keep you running. What is it? And if you feel stuck that you're not able to overcome or get through that, that's when you ask where am I causing this to get stuck? So even if you have an issue with your parents, it's like you need to ask yourself, where am I causing this to not? And you're if I desire my mentor, if I desire my parents because I want their mentorship, look at from another place so that you don't okay, I get it. So it's like finding
I have an exercise that I'd like to share, actually. Very interesting coaching exercise that we have. So there's this thing called writing a story. And we write our story about our past, whatever we know about our past, and then what's going on now, and then what our future looks like. And we write a story roughly 10 minutes long, if you read it out. And that story can often be a very powerful visual to make people focus on their goal. Because once you go through that exercise and your coach reads your story, the coach knows, hey, I thought you said you were gonna start a school, for like a free school. Is that still happening? And then, I'll be like, oh, Because I have a coach as well. I have a coach, and so even coaches are coaches, you know, and there's somebody to hold you accountable. And I'm like, oh yeah, I still want to do that. So in a way, like whether you have an accountability partner or not, one of the most important things, you know, to a goal is the stories that you tell yourself. Because you have a goal, but is it in a form of an interesting visual or a vision board or, you know, a story or something? If you wake up every morning and you tell yourself, you know, this is my story, this is my story, this is my story, it's easier to say yes to things that matter and to say no to things that don't matter.
Love that. Love that. You have a
Thank you.
vision.
Yeah,
You actually have a direction.
A vision,
basically.
exactly.
Yes.
You know, but people say vision, it seems complicated. It's a story, you know.
It just directs you somewhere.
What
Your
stories do you tell yourself every day?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you have created and started Happy Kids Parenting with your wife that has garnered a whole lot of incredible attention in like
Mostly her.
raising,
Mostly it.
raising emotionally stable kids, right? So I would love to hear what it means to actually have emotionally stable kids. Like, how do you raise emotionally stable kids? There's this yo-yo between disciplining them and at the same time where if they're feeling emotional, how do you give space for them? So what does that mean actually?
Okay, so again, there are many emotions, right? And every emotion has its function. And every emotion is love. That's what I believe. And so it's like anger, for example, is if you hurt or you take away something that I love, I get angry. So there's this love behind anger. And so like when you understand that fear is also you loving yourself and protecting yourself, you understand that whatever the child is feeling, the child is expressing love in ways that he or she or they cannot understand yet. And again, it becomes interesting when you can have this conversation. You're like, what are you feeling? Oh, what's happening there? You know, what do you feel like doing? I'm upset, you know, like, oh, okay. And the thing we avoid now, I learned, is why. And why maybe the most important question that Simon Sinek in starting a business, but why when it comes to emotions gets people to think. Okay, so when we're in emotion space, we ask what?
Okay.
What's happening? What are you feeling? Do you feel it in your body? What are you feeling in your body? You know? What do you want to do about it? And so it doesn't matter why you feel that way. What matters is where we're going.
Okay.
You know, and you know, what do you want to do about it? It kind of like just gently, you know, pushing the kid forward, wherever forward is for them. Yeah.
Not you. That's amazing. So it's what it is for them. So you understand their emotions, get into what they want, understand deeper, and like what do you want to do about it, rather than you again as a parent project what you think they should be doing about it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so like Happy Kids was first Dimple and it is mostly her. So where I come in from the emotion side, it's helping parents understand that understanding of emotions, understanding what you're feeling and what you want to do about it is probably more important than them learning all the hard skills. Because they have time to learn the hard skills. Yeah. But if you mess up emotional patterns because you micromanage, and there's this thing called helicopter parenting where, you know, the child faces an obstacle, immediately you're like a helicopter from up above, like removing it. So they don't get to experience the things that can help them experience the whole fluctuation, the whole bandwidth of emotions early on. And then they have to deal with that in the future.
And then they don't know how to do it then.
And then they don't know how to. They have the hard skills. You know, they come first in class or whatever. But all that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How
do you find a way to say no, you know, and like discipline them, but in a way that also is very emotionally supportive then? Because that's when they start becoming reactive and they don't like it and they might throw some tantrums. How do you handle a kid who has a tantrum, which I understand, you don't understand what's going on, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you need to step into and, you know.
So quickly going on the tantrum tangent. Tantrum is a kid most likely unable to express themselves with words.
Okay.
Oftentimes. If it continues as the kid grows up, when the kid's able to speak, then maybe something there. But most tantrums are just kids not being able to express. Yeah. And then now moving back to your main question, what are the boundaries, right, that we set as parents? I believe that the more advanced you are, pro master parents will set like really big boundaries and will watch the kid and intervene, when the kid's about to cross the boundaries. And if you're not comfortable like this and you're comfortable here, great, But I believe the point is to expand the boundary, not to constrict the boundary and say, you know what, I'm going to jump in if my kid does this. Okay, how about we reverse it and we say, okay, I'm already comfortable with this level of boundary. Every day, as my kid learns to be a better human being, I'm going to learn to be a better parent, and I'm going to expand my boundary to the point where I feel like, no, this to me is danger. Therefore, I'm not going to allow my kid to cross the boundary. For example, some parents allow their kids to climb chairs and couches and jump around like they're some superhero. Some parents don't. That's a boundary.
Right.
And if you are okay with that, meaning you can manage your kid with big boundaries, I'm not saying, like leave your kid alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you can manage a kid jumping around, great, the kid will be agile.
Yeah.
If you can't, the kid won't be agile. Not the end of the world. And that applies to everything. And ideally, for emotions, if you can have the biggest boundary.
Okay.
And moving into the world of AI technology, the future skill is empathy, creativity, resilience, being able to learn new things.
Being human, actually.
Being human.
Compared to
being
a
human.
world that is
Yeah.
getting very fast in other types of skills, but lacking the human touch. And that I love that. I want to reiterate what you said. Basically, it's just that as much as you're a parent, understand that even you need to work on being a parent. I mean, work on yourself and like move around your boundaries a little bit, because boundaries change, and even your boundaries are made from outdated beliefs sometimes and outdated ways of doing things. So it's recognizing where you need to kind of loosen up a little bit instead of just focusing on the kid. I love that.
Thank you. One last thing, because this happens a lot, so it should be mentioned. One of the things that stop parents from being able to do this is the fact that they have to listen to their parents or to their friends.
Okay. Interesting.
And I say, to hell with that. I don't know how to listen. And I say, to hell with that. Because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to your child before you have a responsibility to anyone else about being a parent.
I love that.
Are you going to let your wife or your husband run your business? No. Right? Because it's your business. The same way, I don't think you should let your friends or your parents run your parenting business. Yeah? Listen to them, take into account what they say, keep an open mind, be kind, be compassionate, protect your child.
But you do you with your parenting, basically. You know best. You and your partner knows best what to do with your whole household.
And I feel like that's what Happy Kids is able to do, which is why we've grown, because we're their friends. We're the ones that say, don't listen to them, we're here for you. You're lost, you're alone, come for a webinar. Because we're doing this for our kids.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Wow, I love it. I had such an I learned a lot today from men and parenting and emotions. I absolutely love it today. It's been so insightful. And I think we have had enough. We have had a lot.
Thank you.
I think we're ready for game of the day.
Yay, let's go.
You're good? Game of the day is going to be a lot about parenting and emotions also, actually, which is I'm going to tell you a statement and you need to explain it to me like I'm 5.
Oh, my son would probably win this game, but okay.
Right? I'm wondering if your son's actually asked these questions before. First, if money is just paper, Papa, why can't we print more and give it to everyone? Most ideal world.
Because then everybody would be lazy and nobody would bake the bread that you want to buy with the money.
Interesting. As a kid, I have a follow-up question, but I like that. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
That's it. I do feel like a kid. I'm like, okay, Papa, I'll work.
You're fine.
I'll work.
I can't explain more.
True. Okay, second question. If God made everything, who made God?
Wow, this is interesting. This is what I tell my kid. I say, you are a part of God. And you know, but how? And I'm like, what? Imagine that God, you know, needed this world to be a better place, and you're a part of God, and you got sent here. And that's why every day you goosebump. That's why you pray. That's why you meditate, to connect back to Source, who you are, to understand your mission here. And that's kind of, you know, like, yeah.
Ooh, that's a very I wouldn't say heavy, but that's a lot for a 5-year-old. But they are so resilient, right? And
Yeah.
they listen to everything that would stick more than an adult.
Yeah.
That really would stick more than an adult. Last question. Where was I before I was born?
Oh. So I believe in the concept of the universe. So that this is what I share with Asa, that we're all a part of the universe, and we come here and we're making this world a better place. And then, like, his grandmother, who's passed on, is back with the universe.
Okay.
And when she comes back, she's gonna be, you know, in a different form, a different kind of angel.
So you're saying there's like something else beyond this earth that
Yeah.
will come from, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Energy. Let's say love.
I love that. I love that. I learned so much. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
It's been such a
Happy
journey,
to
and
share.
everything's just logic, breaking logic. I love that. I am taking that in for sure. And so, you guys, this has been incredible. And remember that success, you got to redefine what success means to you. It's all about balance. It's all about the things that truly matter. And remember what he said, it's the feeling that you're looking for. So if you can look for that feeling now in your life, you'd probably be shutting, like 50% of your stresses would probably go down, guys. So
True.
that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
Take
much.
care, guys. Rambut gue gimana? Oke.